Welcome to season 4 of Performing the Arts. Yes, the opening of season 4. I said it was season 4 beforehand, but I wasn't unsure. But this is a new show, and this is a new season. But what the hell? Joining me today is a singer, actress, Rita, and you just told me your last name too. It's Rita Posillico.
Posillico. It's okay. That's close. Yes.
Posillico. Okay, there we go. As I said, she's an actress and singer in New York City. I've known her for like the past couple of years, but we haven't really officially met because of not only I had either class or job requirements, but the times I saw she was actually playing and the times I actually saw her like posting her stuff on, I was about to say Twitter, on Instagram stories and stuff like that, you sing like really, really well. So Rita, how did you get into the performing arts and just singing in general?
Well, ever since I was young, my mom, she put me in community theater. But I was also lucky that my family is very animated, and we have been like secretly doing improv since I was a child. During the table at like dinner, we do imitations. So little did I know it was all prepping me for now. So
Yeah.
we just love, like my whole family, we love singing. My dad loves to sing. We all love music and stuff. They don't do that. That's not their professions, but they really appreciate the arts. And once I did theater in the community, I was hooked. And I wasn't a really great singer growing up, I must say. It was only until after high school I was like more confident with myself, and I was like finding my own style. So yeah, but I've always loved to do it.
Yeah, I noticed that even if it's after high school or even during college, that's when you start finding the stuff that you kind of excel at. It's like, even though when I was growing up, it's like, oh, I want to be an actor, that sort of thing. Especially in high school, it's like, oh, you have a nice voice, all that stuff. But when you go to college, all that stuff, it's like you gotta find your own like self-worth and finding your own like training and whatnot. Was there like a special, I won't say like a special movie, but was there like a performance that kind of like sparked you into going into singing? Because you said that you just said that you were finding your voice and stuff like that. Was there like a singer that you were listening to that was kind of like not reminding you of yourself, but just like giving you the inspiration to actually keep on going forward with singing?
Yeah, because like in high school, I was doing a lot of choruses, and I went to Catholic school, so we were always singing at the masses. So I think from doing that, even though it was fun, I was like, you're singing so proper, you're not really, doing your own style. So once I found rock and roll, I was like, this is the thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
So I would say like maybe when I discovered Janis Joplin, I just really admired how, she didn't really care about sounding nice. She just sang. And I feel like so many singers today have this problem where they just want to sing nice, and we kind of miss that passion and the mistakes that I think make singing so interesting to listen to. And, so I would say the rock definitely made me want to continue to sing and be like, maybe I can kind of sound like this without damaging my vocal cords completely.
Yeah.
But
because Janis Joplin has a distinct and unique singing style, and she did it in her own gusto way. So it's like it's like the same thing with Lemmy from Motorhead. He had his own very own distinctive voice style, which was very gravelly and stuff like that. And I'd be listening to Motorhead and like, I was like, please don't do Lemmy, please don't do Lemmy. And then I'd be like, the moment I was like, damn it, I can't do Lemmy. It's like it's like you want to try and emulate that style, especially if you love that singer. But at the same time, it's like very, very hard to do because it's their own natural voice, or at least their own version of their own version of how they sing. And I do agree with Catholic school because I'm a Catholic myself. Well, I try to be Catholic, and there's Catholic problems, hashtag Catholic problems, and And yeah, I do remember performing in mass. I believe maybe once or twice, especially for either uh, I want to say either Easter or it was probably at the Easter services and the Christmas services, because I remember being up on the little stage thing and just singing a hymn or something like that, and then going to sitting back down, all that stuff. So yeah, uh, especially with choirs, it's a nice way to figure out if you want to keep on going with the singing or not too. Uh, but yeah, going out of going into high school, were you still figuring out like that notion of singing, or did it like literally just come after high school and was like, oh, high school's done, but I kind of like singing?
No, like yeah, I've always been singing. So yeah, before high school, I would do like the talent shows and stuff. But of course, at that time too, I thought I was very good. But looking back, I had a lot to learn. That's why
Yeah,
I say I don't think I really got strong vocally until after high school. Then I was like, okay. But I think uh, I got to that point because going into high school, when you're in that choir, it was a choir you had to audition for. So everyone had
yeah,
to choose in the school. And I would hear people who were better than me. And I was like, they sound amazing. What are they doing? So I would make sure to really listen closely to how they would pronounce vowels or just like their breath support. And I think from a mix of listening to better singers and even like, listening on your headphones, you can just kind of hear how certain people sing and what they're
yeah.
emulating. So I tried to make my own formula of what I like and what sounds good into this, after high school style that I have developed. But yeah, going into high school, I knew I did want to sing, but I knew then going into high school, I had a lot more to learn and I had to practice.
Yeah.
You can't
Uh,
go up.
it's weird because I remember vividly in junior high school that I was kind of being learned to do like basic instruments like the recorder, stuff like that, and I had a recorder at school and stuff like it was like basic stuff. But when in high school, uh, my high school music teacher, Mr. Tannenbaum, may he rest in peace. He actually got me into like what you just said before with the rock and roll, that stuff too. He really helped me introduce rock and roll to me, even though my brother, you know, even though he had like a lot of, rock stuff like that. I think it's like the combination of him and also Mr. Townham like really helping me into rock. And it's kind of sad. It's like if I had known this too, it's like he also had his own little music club too, where it was like, he actually, because I actually remember him performing well, not necessarily a whole concert, but like his club actually performed a concert piece for like a big concert at the school. And I was like, if I had known this, I probably would have done this with him. And it's like, even though I don't know that much with singing, I mean, singing or just playing music in general, I probably could just been like off the sidelines, just playing like a bass guitar or something like that. Something that isn't like hard to do. It's just like, well, I'm not saying bass guitar is like hard to do, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah,
uh, but yeah, I do think that high school is a way of, or just school in general is a way to allow you to actually get into music, even if you aren't in music, because you have friends who listen to music. It's like, oh, it's like lunchtime. They'll just listen to music. Oh, it's like, oh, what are you listening to? Well, I'm listening to the new Eminem, or I'm listening to the new Jay-Z, or I'm listening to the new Lady Gaga, that sort of thing too. It's like it's very easy to discover new music because of your friends, especially in high school, and especially going into college too. You have a whole department like literally at your disposal, even if you go into music. Even if you aren't like a music major, you still have a music a minor to do in music, so you still have that to do. Even if you aren't feeling yourself, oh, musically I feel like I want to do something musically, but I don't feel like I want to do it majorly. I want to do it on my own time, so I'll just do it as a minor. And then the minor is like it's very like I remember I had to take a music class last year for one of my requirements, and one of my classmates, I believe, she was part of the. I think what was it? The Macaulay was it?
Oh yeah, the honors or something.
Yeah, the honors thing. She said, "Well, I'm not really part of the music program here, but I have to talk to the music department and actually to actually get approved to a lot of these classes too, especially if I'm just doing it as a minor too." And yeah, at Brooklyn College, it's like you had to talk to someone in the music department, even if you were doing like a music major, because they needed to plan out everything. Because even if you were, say, oh, I'm gonna do like singing, so that's a lot of singing, and there's a lot of like steps you need to do with singing too. Because it's not like you need to just do singing. There's like breath control classes. There's like solo classes. There's like opera classes or stuff like that. If you're doing something like guitar, you gotta know how to learn the guitar again. There's like basic guitar, I love advanced guitar. Intermediate guitar, advanced, that sort of thing too. So even if you are going to music, shit, what was I? Oh yeah. Even I'm losing my train of thoughts here. Sorry, folks. Yeah. Even if you are going to music, there's always got to be a lot of uh, ways that going into music. Sometimes it's from friends, sometimes it's from staff, faculty, especially from school, high school, that sort of thing, and family too. Because you mentioned that your family was like really big, even though they weren't like singers, like they weren't like professionally singers. They still love to sing. They still love to like really entertain, that sort of thing too. Uh, Growing up, do you remember you have like family doing like not necessarily skits, but do you remember your family doing like concerts of their own self, where it's like, it's the family barbecue. We'll just sing like some some like July 4th type of songs, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're a loud Italian family. So, Sunday dinners, whatever, there'll be some. My dad would like to play in the morning Andrea Bocelli. He would sing along with him, big opera stuff. And so, yeah, I mean, we're just, we're very loud people. So it's just,
Oh yeah.
we're always, kind of poking at each other. Like I said, it's almost like we're always improving with each other. And we're always singing. My grandpa likes to do karaoke, so sometimes when we get together, I will set up like karaoke for them, and they'll sing like old Sicilian songs.
Nice. Yeah, my grandmother, she was partly she was Italian, and among other things too, and I think Sicilian. I think my brother's still trying to figure out what a part of like what nationalities we were, because we feel like whenever whenever we learn about something about my family, like he learns about something new about it. So it's like, we're Scandinavian now. It's like, wow, that's new. But I know that my grandmother always loved listening to music, stuff like that too. And my grandfather too was my things just went out. So give me a second. Sorry, folks. Hang on. Speakers. All right. Sorry about that, folks. My things just went off. You can still hear me, right?
I can hear you still. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. And they just got rid of these things too recently, so I guess these don't last for like a couple of hours. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, my grandmother, she loved singing. I mean, not love singing, but she loved hearing music, that sort of thing. And I know my grandfather loved ABBA too, so they would always have that little ABBA like thing where it's like, oh, they love listening to ABBA, that sort of thing too. And I know my grandmother loved watching. The sad thing is, like, she never got a chance to see my fat Greek American wedding too. So she always watched the first one. So it's like it holds a lot of special things in her heart. to that one. So yeah, like I was saying before, family, friends, and even staff, they always bring some sort of presence for you, especially if it's like uh, something like music. So yeah, but yeah, and especially Italian families. Italian families really do love to sing. Like I live across from an Italian couple. Every now and then, I would hear the guy wherever he is, just like belting an opera song or something like that, just randomly, like after like maybe dinner. I'd be like, "Yep, okay, that's part of the norm here." And then afterwards, he'd be like, he just goes back inside, just randomly, and it's like that, and especially when you're living in this portion of Brooklyn too, is like, you know, I believe there was a cop who lived here who practiced the bagpipe. So, or yeah, no, the violin. He practiced the violin. No, actually, there was two people who. There was one person who practiced violin, and there was a cop who lived here who practiced the bagpipe. So every now and then, I would hear bagpipe playing in the distance, and then every now and then, I would hear the violinist playing in the distance too. So it was like, it's it's weird living in New York too. It's like New York always has that very magical music moment where it's like kind of expect a lot of that music moments to happen in the city, but sometimes it's like very rare to hear that music moments like in the neighborhood you live in. Because
Yeah.
like you have to expect to hear, someone sing on their fire escape in Manhattan, like maybe in the Midtown or something like that. Especially when it's like after midnight or something like that. Not like when it's like 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon in uh, like Bushwick or something like that. So it's like very easy to hear music, especially in New York City, and especially somewhere that you don't least expect to. But yeah, back to your music thing in general. Uh, I know that you're also an actress, and I know you actually worked on Off-Broadway with the Office musical. Uh, I'm not sure who you play because I'm not really that good with The Office, but I know you were actually promoting The Office musical on your stuff like that too. So, how did that come about?
Well, it was a journey. I had left college, and I wanted to do music. And I was doing a lot of music directing actually for like friends and stuff. And I had auditioned for The Office. I think it was maybe my last semester I was in school, and I didn't book it. And then life happened, whatever, I leave, and
Yeah.
that year goes by, and my friend asked me to act in something, and I didn't really want to do it because I was like, I'm done acting, like I didn't want to act anymore. But I did it, and we won the festival,
Oh,
which was
nice.
cool. Uh, but after that, I was like telling everyone, I was like, this is the last thing I'm doing. I'm not acting anymore. I don't want
Yes. All
and
actors say that. Like all actors say, this is the last thing, and then
yeah,
seconds later, hey, I loved you. I loved you in this performance. You want to do this other thing with me? I'm like,
yeah.
okay,
So
fine.
we respect it, because it was literally like 2 weeks after that show that I was saying this, I got a call. Well, I got, they emailed me from the office. They still had my information, and they needed an immediate replacement. So, thankfully, like I already knew all the callback material. I had it memorized. Uh, and I went in, and I did not care. I was like, because, I was like, I don't want to act. So I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to,
Yeah.
and that's it. And I think by being relaxed and doing that, I think that's why I ended up, booking it. Because I was confident with myself, and I knew that if it wasn't going to work out, it wasn't going to. But if it was meant to be, it would happen. And I got so lucky to have booked that, and it just kind of reignited my love for theater and acting. It was a lot of fun.
But okay, I was gonna ask you more about the Office musical, but I'll get back to that in a couple minutes or a little while. How did you get into acting? Was it the same thing where it's like, was it the same thing with where the singing was helping you with, because being on stage, even as a singer, you do have that like stage presence where it's just like you love being on stage, you just love feeding off the crowd, that sort of thing. Did you want to uh, explore acting because you've been on stage before, or were you always an actress?
I'd say I was always an actress. You know, I was in the school shows and whatnot. But I actually didn't do like theater or music in college. I was an English major. My last thing there, I put on my own musical, and I was seeing a different side to the production. So I didn't really, again, like I kind of lost that I want to act thing. And you know, it's so hard to act too, trying to book your own auditions, especially on an
Yeah.
agent or. So at that time, I didn't, and just getting tired of it. And I was like, maybe music is better. It comes more naturally, and I think it was, you know, easier. But yeah, then you know, just booking the office like that. I was like literally thrown into perform 6 times a week, memorize your lines within the week. It was like, okay,
Okay.
uh, yeah, like I gotta do it. I cannot not do it. So yeah, it was kind of like, even though acting is can be stressful sometimes, I was like just reminded of, you know, when it is like crunch time and you just got to be prepared. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot of fun being on stage. And yeah, especially in musical. I wasn't really into musical theater. I was doing just acting stuff. I went to Lee Strasberg and Stella Adler for a little bit, not like
Yeah.
you know full years, but a few semesters each. And it was just straight acting. You know, there wasn't too much musical theater. I didn't really like musical theater, to be honest. I yeah, a lot of the, especially you know, being musical, I was very picky about soundtracks and whatnot. So that was another thing coming into this musical world. I was like, I have a lot to learn about musical theater. But it's, yeah, musical theater is so fun, and I think especially doing a comedic show, I got to play about like 6 or 7 different characters.
Oh
uh,
wow.
yeah, and you're just constantly running around the whole time, you know, singing, dancing. It was like things I had never done before. I'm not a dancer. I had to learn like a little tango, a little ballet. Like it was, my part had the most dancing. Uh, so it was quite a challenge. But yeah, in high school, I didn't really do musicals. It was all acting. But I'm glad to have found musicals again.
Ah.
It's fun.
Yeah. I think uh, that's the thing. It's like I have like the weirdest thing with musicals is like I love watching musicals, but I don't feel like I have the like the energy to be in a musical, even though I'm a very hyperactive person. It's like anybody who has met me, like you should be like Brian, you should be tired. It's like 10 o'clock. We've been here for like 10 hours. Like, not really. And I'm just like really really hyperactive. But I feel like if I was in a part of a musical, I feel like I probably wouldn't be the musical type because one, I don't know if I had the voice for it, and two, even if I did have the voice for it, how would I sell myself with that voice too? Because I know that's another thing, especially as a singer, is that you need to market yourself with your voice, but how do you market yourself with your voice when people have essentially marketed their voices in a way that makes them, marketable. So, uh, yeah, tell me more about the Office music because you just mentioned that you had like a week or so to memorize all your lines, and the weird thing is like with a musical, I assume it's like I assume it's like, oh, you gotta memorize your lines, but also memorize the songs you have to do too. So how was that? So do you have the same process of remembering your lines? Whereas as an actor, you're just like, oh, remember yourself. You don't remember as an actor. Well, sorry, as an actress, remember your lines as an actress. You know, it's all in your head. It's like a teleprompter, and you'll be able to do it like that. But when it comes to memorizing songs, especially in a musical, how is that process?
Well, I mean, with The Office, it was a very abnormal situation because I was cast on a Saturday, and then our first rehearsal was Monday, and then I was supposed to perform on Friday. Uh, so there wasn't even like a process to go through. It was just memorize as soon as you can in any way you can. So I was freaking out. Luckily, I had another actor who was in the same situation as me. So we really helped each other. And I never really, I would ask people to read lines, but like we had to go through the whole show together. Like we did it for like 2 days. We had recorded the audio of the show. I would like just talk with the audio, learning the songs. It was just, I don't know how I did it, but it happened because, like I said before, like it was just something that had to be done. There was just no excuse. You had to know your stuff by Friday. So, I mean, I was writing down lines like 1,000 times. I would, go through my script, highlighting, writing notes. Because stage directions too, I had to know. I was just, filling in for someone else who was leaving. So I had to know where props went. I had to know everything. And for the first weekend, I had a sheet of paper with just entrances and exits and costume changes. Because like I said, I was playing so many characters, and there was like over 20 costume changes I had throughout the show. It's quite a lot. So memorizing which character you're in, and then sometimes you're doing it yourself, sometimes someone's helping you. So yeah, I was able to memorize the lines by Friday and, do the stage stuff, but I was backstage. I would take out my sheet and like go to the blue light and try to read what character I was next. But thankfully, after the first night, I was like, okay, I know it.
It's weird, especially as like I've been with actors and who kind of like who replace other actors in a span of like maybe a couple days before a performance or maybe even a week before a performance. It's very hard for them because they have to remember a lot of these lines, especially if it's like a very, very long scene as it is, and especially if. So yeah, I understand like the pressure that you have at the same time as an actor, or rather as a performing artist. You really have to uh you really have to learn how to essentially work your own nervousness that you have about what's been happening into your like energy into like memorizing all that stuff, because by the time it's like show day, it's like all that nervousness kind of like goes out the window because you're just like, the first day, the first night, it might be a big muck up, but it's gonna be a fun muck up too.
Yeah.
So, and for some reason my thing tells me I'm running out of time, even though there's 2 people in here. The wonders of Zoom. So this might be split into 2 parts just by the way it is. So I know that you actually performed in Woodstock, or not necessarily like Woodstock itself. That'd be amazing if you actually were performing in Woodstock, but you performed in the town of Woodstock for a band.
Yeah, we performed.
How did that come about?
Again, it was just a weird, chain of events that led to this. I go to this place every year. It's like this tiny, kind of not so nice Italian resort upstate. And it's right by the Woodstock Museum, right where it all happened, Bethel, because Woodstock didn't happen in Woodstock. And I loved that culture. I love the hippies and rock and roll. And I would go to the site every year. And 2 of my friends who I've made throughout the years, because it's the same people every year who go upstate to this week. We all have timeshares. They one day were driving around Bethel and they saw this woman with paintings outside. And they went up to her and they befriended her. And she was like this awesome artist. She was like, she used to live in the city. Then she moved upstate. So my friend was like, you have to meet this woman, and I was like, okay. So I met her and she was saying how her son, who's a professional musician, she was like, he's organizing an event at our church across the street. They're going to do an electric chapel for Woodstock 50. There's going to be a big event in the town, for the anniversary the next year. And she was like, we'll keep in contact. Like, we'd love you to be a part of it if you want. And yeah, then, the year passed and Woodstock 50 was coming up, and, thankfully, we stayed in touch, and
Yeah.
I was able to be a part of that event. But there was like a few different events going on. There was an event at the actual museum, which was like Santana.
Oh
Uh,
wow.
I think we were performing on the same night as Santana, which obviously, people are going to go see Santana.
Yeah, it's again. If I talk about your nervous, it's like, I'm performing a concert, and it's like, there was another concert that's gonna be on the same night. It's like, oh, who's it gonna be with? Elton John. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh my God, yeah. So it's like,
It's like, oh, okay, I understand. But if you don't want to see Elton John, come to see us. It's like we're cheaper, and
exactly. It's more fun.
like we're cheaper, but also get some beer at the show too. I'm pretty sure you don't be able to get beer out in John's concert. So.
Yeah, it'd be like $20.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was still nice. There still was people who came, and around the corner, I think it was called Henry's Inn or something. It's apparently the famous bar that they all had the after party at for Woodstock. So they had a stage there, and there was also another event there. And people were just, with a whole bunch of like ex-hippies. It was very cool, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I liked just being there and being a part of that celebration, because I know they tried to do an actual festival and it fell through.
Yeah,
So,
it wasn't as best as they possibly could, especially with Woodstock. Like
yeah,
wanted to do it like Woodstock 50, and like the last time that Woodstock happened, there was a lot of problems, but
yeah.
a lot of problems, especially in terms of that Woodstock. And I'm talking about Woodstock '99 too. So.
Yeah, their 25th anniversary.
Yeah, and the Woodstock 50 thing, it would have been. They try to get a lot of this stuff happening down, but because of not only people saying, "Oh, yeah, like well, we could do it," but it was mostly about getting, I believe, sponsors and also a place to do the concert. So
Yeah,
it's like if you're gonna try and do a big concert for like three days, you need to have like some big space to do it, and they couldn't find the space, and because no one really wanted to do another Woodstock there, so it was like, but being in that town, especially as a singer, how did that feel, especially singing in a place like Woodstock, even though it wasn't Woodstock itself, but feeling that spirit and feeling the same type of energy that you talked about with your favorite singers and stuff like that. Was it a special type of like performance where it's like I feel like I'm actually there without being there, or was it just like something else?
yeah. It felt, it definitely was like a unique kind of experience. Because the energy there it was strange for sure. Whether I don't think it was a negative kind of strange though.
Ah,
Because it was just people who were there, and everyone's walking around, and it's kind of like, and not that you get transported back in time, but it's weird to kind of mix the past with the present. uh, so it was very cool being there, and performing at the church. A lot of amazing musicians were there that day, so I did get to see a whole bunch of new talent, and just like people, like I was saying before too, who didn't care about sounding pop or whatever. They were just singing from their hearts. uh, so yeah, we went. I mean, we performed the best that we could. I sang my heart out. I had so much fun, and I had my sister there with me. My mom came. So we made a really nice event of it, and yeah, it was just really special being there. And I was just so happy to celebrate the 50th anniversary in some way, because I knew I
yeah,
wanted to go upstate either way. I was like, I'm either going to go see a concert or I will perform myself. So again, just so lucky that this woman, kept in contact with me. Yeah, it was
and
just an amazing experience.
on that note, I will have to stop you right here because I gotta probably do this again in a couple seconds because it's
Oh, okay. Yeah.
less than a minute because this is a good point to stop ourselves. But right back, ladies. Sorry, everyone, but we're back now. Where were we before? Oh yeah. So you're performing in the town of where I mean where Woodstock was, not necessarily the actual place itself, but yeah, I would imagine it would be a very strange feeling to be in because you know you're performing in a town or at least space that had two big concerts, and there was one big concert coming up. Well, one hypothetical concert coming up, but because of even though we just talked about Woodstock 50 didn't happen, but because of but it was still in that space. Yeah, I would imagine there would be a very very weird sense of not necessarily performance anxiety, but like a sense of like performance energy as you're about to perform. So yeah, uh, did you? But yeah, speaking of upstate New York, have you actually traveled more upstate New York and actually performed upstate New York?
No, so that was our only performance of state. We are a relatively new band. We formed last year. Maybe our first performance was end of June or something. That was our first show. So that was our first thing upstate. And then we were doing shows, in the city. And our next one was canceled because
Yeah.
of
Thanks,
COVID.
COVID.
Yeah, yeah. So, but that was the furthest we had performed.
Oh,
I've been
nice.
to Cooperstown, but not with the band.
Have you guys actually performed outside New York City or, i.e., out of New York State? Or
No, yeah, we were just in the city.
oh, oh, okay. Because was gonna ask like I'm pretty sure there was probably a place in Jersey you probably did, or maybe somewhere in like Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, that sort of thing too. So, uh,
well, because I feel like to start traveling a little, even like to Philly or wherever. I think we needed more content out. Especially like
yeah,
more songs. I think because a lot of venues too, you got to bring people. So I know I can't bring 20 people to Philadelphia.
yeah,
Uh, But yeah, it sucks that, we did have like this momentum going and, there still is opportunities to do that online.
yeah.
Uh,
But
but for now, I love live performing. Like that's the way I get to know people. I love, uh, just, yeah, after performances, you get to meet people. It's really fun. It's nice. But yeah, unfortunately, but it is okay for good reason, they're closed for now.
uh,
But
and I do have to bring in the elephant. I had to do bring up the elephant in the room, COVID. So how much of your stuff was canceled for this year? Because I know back in March, I believe you were actually. I remember you actually posting about, oh, we have a concert coming up, that sort of thing, and then
yeah,
yeah. So how much of your essentially 2020 plans were like? How much was canceled, and how much was able to be salvaged from those canceled plans?
I mean, yeah, everything. Because I was still at the office, it's that was what I was doing every week. I was just performing, and it was all just put on hold. It was all now stopped. The band show was canceled. And we were rehearsing maybe like up until 2 weeks before like the shutdown because we were still like maybe it'll be okay. And then it was like no, we cannot perform. So yeah, just a lot of things. Bands, acting stuff got canceled. But I guess, we did try to stay creative. I know I kind of went
Yeah.
through different slumps. So it was hard to, also stay creative and motivate other people to be creative with you. Luckily I
Yeah.
have amazing people in the band and, they were all, they're all understanding. And I had mentioned, let's make like a video from home, which we did do. We made like one video from home and they were all, excited about it. They all did it. But we haven't made a video since. So I was kind of taking a little break from band things right now
Yeah.
because it's just it's hard. I just started a Twitch with my drummer, so
Oh, nice.
we're gonna try to see that angle and maybe just build a fan base from the site. Because I think we definitely need to build a fan base as well.
Yeah, oddly enough, performing on does have a Twitch now. But hopefully by the time I publish this thing, playing the arts might have had its first stream. So Fingers crossed. So yeah, I just started recently doing it. I just started because I do have a couple of games on my computer that I do want to play and actually stream because I have Fallout New Vegas on the PC. I have Left 4 Dead 2, I mean 1 and 2. Uh, you know, there's other games I want to see if I can play too, but I know people love watching people who play, that sort of thing where it's like I know Fallout New Vegas still has a big fan base too. And especially someone who played the game a lot on the 360, it's going to be very fun to actually try and play it on the PC. Where it's like, oh, a lot of these people have created mods, all that stuff too. In terms of actually your Twitch channel, have you thought about like what type of like content you want to do on that, or is it just gonna be like, oh, we're just stream games and like watch us play games, that sort of thing?
Well, there's like I've been looking. There's a music community. It seems like I'm fairly new to Twitch. We've my drummer has more experience with it. He's been doing it for a while. But yeah, what we've decided, we've done our first stream was like only 2 weeks ago. So, but we had to prepare for it. Like we did trials with cameras and stuff and just microphones. So we have like a whole setup. He has an awesome studio in Brooklyn, actually. So what we've been doing is covers and sprinkling in less stream. I think I sprinkled in like 1 or 2 originals. But a lot of people on Twitch, apparently, they're doing covers, and it's almost like a live piano bar. So people can spend money to like request a song. So we're not at that level yet because, we have to get followers and everything. But, hopefully over time, we will be able to kind of have like a dueling pianos kind of situation on Twitch. So that's for now. And then, of course, maybe sprinkling in some band stuff too. I do want to try to record stuff soon.
Yeah, because like even in lockdown and quarantine, that sort of thing, I literally miss being out on stage. I miss feeding off that energy. So with that energy, I just go into writing because I am a writer because I try and do my best with screenwriting. I try and do my best with playwriting, but I just do writing in general, especially as a creative, writer, because I always have a lot of story ideas, that sort of thing. Yeah. So yeah, I understand you completely about missing the band and missing performing with the band. So it's like, even if you have to take precautions about being in that space or being in a studio, making sure everyone's okay, please do that, please do that, please take care of yourself and all that stuff. But it's a lot more difficult to do that, especially when it's just by yourself. And, I don't doubt there are a lot of people who are struggling singers, solo singers, all that stuff, or just solo guitarists or just soloists in general who have that problem of trying to go back who have that problem and trying to go back in the studio, especially since quarantine or the lockdown has officially started. So even though we are kind of in the back, even though New York City is kind of back in terms of production, it's not like fully back, but it's still limited. So I can understand people who were so used to going in studios and singing their hearts out and being unable to do that. They've been trying to find other ways to get their voice out too, especially with social media. And have you had experience with using social media to do your music itself? Like, have you done like Instagram Live where it's like, oh, we're gonna be singing a couple songs from our new album, or at least trying to get people to watch, get people aware, especially what's been going on? Or has the social media just been like kind of like it's there but still not there, and you kind of like supporting people who are on their social media trying to do the same thing?
In between, perhaps more even being quieter on social media. I think during quarantine, I only did a few random live streams from my own personal account. And it was like me playing the piano and singing cover stuff. But it's with Instagram, the live, you know, it's strange doing the live because, you know, I don't know. It's just a different thing that maybe I just need to
Yeah.
get used to, and I just have to get over it.
I still don't understand the concept. I mean, I still don't understand the concept of Instagram Live, but I've seen people, my friends do it. I've seen, you know,
Yeah.
actresses do it, you know, and they all do it very with gusto and all that stuff. So even if I do that, I'm just like, it's weird to do all that stuff, and then because I think when it boils down to it, it needs to do with content, and especially now, it's like people are still trying to find content, content within this. I don't want to say dilemma, but looking in this content in this like almost contentless world almost of where it's like the stuff that you're very used to is like, you know, it's October now. I probably would have been, it's Saturday. I probably wouldn't go in to see a movie right now.
Yeah.
Especially with it being 4 o'clock. I probably wouldn't go and see a movie in the movie theater, but because of, you know, restrictions and stuff like that, the movie theaters are closed, everything's closed. Performing venues in general close, at least at the time of this recording. Hopefully, by the time the recording has come out and stuff like that, I mean, this interview has come out, the performing venues in New York City have opened up at least temporarily and trying to, you know, go back to normal. But yeah, it's weird, especially with COVID and stuff like that. I've seen it's hard to put out content when there is a need for that content to be out, but how do you put out that content when you're trying to like really battle a lot more than just content itself? Because people who are putting out that content, you know, they're doing it out of their own graces of their own hearts, all that stuff, especially every day too. But they're still making sure that, you know, they're still making sure everything is all taken care of. They're all, you know, they're not like sick or something like that. It's like, it's weird on social media where it's just like social media 15 years ago, it was still a recent thing, but now it's just like people make a lot of money from social media itself, especially singers and all that stuff. So it's weird now where social media, you can practically make a career with social media, but also you could just make a career with social media just on the sideline.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
You know, I've been trying to get used to social media. My friends and I, actually yesterday, we put out a song about 2020, and I felt it was just all the emotions of this year. And you know, I have been pretty quiet on social media, and I mean, I've been blasting this one song. So yeah, I don't know. Just this year, I'm like, if I'm gonna make something and if I'm gonna, you know, post, I want it to be really good. And it took us a little while to like make this one song, but you know, I think it was worth it at the end, and I'm proud to show it. But yeah, but it also took me a while to like want to be creative, and because like you said, we're dealing with so much more than just putting.
Yeah, you know.
The world is
the world. Pardon my French, but the world is a shithole, and because of what's been happening, it's like the next 4 years has got to be even more of a toilet. I mean, not toilet. Well, yeah, toilet, but more of a dumpster fire, or it's possible that fire could be put out and at least patched up temporarily with some flex tape or whatever it is.
Yeah, you know, I'm hoping we will be okay, but it's like, yeah, just right now, it's crazy how this year it was like almost like one week would pass, something else would come out, another week would pass. There's also fires. Another week, oh, and there's also this. It was just one thing after the next.
It's weird how it's like this. The year started and like everyone was, oh, you know, new year, new me, 2020, all that stuff, and then it's like the moment we get into New Year, it's like, oh, we might have World War III, and then it was like World War III, okay, no more, and then it's like Australia has fires. I'm like, okay, this is even weirder, and then as you know, as October, as January was just winding down, I'm like, okay, nothing's really happening badly, and then unfortunately Kobe Bryant passes away, and that's like almost like the tip of the iceberg, whereas it's like everything that had just like cramped up in that January just came crashing down, and then suddenly it's like it just snowballed all the way down to where it is right now. Is like where it's like, can we continue? It's like there's like I think with this election coming up too is where it's just like, is this election the rock in the road where it's just like, oh, we could actually go back up that hill? Or is that rock just gotta let us continue going on into that little downward spiral? But I feel like that's a different argument there. But yeah, it's weird how, and again, it's weird how even if you aren't a singer or something like that, performing arts in general, it, I've seen people just turn to TikTok into getting into a career like out of that, and like sprinkling their performance artistry with that, especially if they were like a YouTuber or something like that. If they were a YouTuber, it's like, oh, they have a TikTok now, all that stuff, you know. And then it's weird how like social media is one allowing us to be it's allowing us to be releasing that content, but at the same time it also feels like it's holding us from releasing the content that we want to like really give out. Because you know, I'm glad that you were able to do like a song that actually focuses on the plights of 2020 and how like how much of this year has really been shitty for all of us, and how, and I can't wait to hear it too. So it's like you need to have something to, yeah, just to finish the thought. There is a content there. People want to do content, right? But at the same time, people don't want to do content. They kind of let they just kind of let contentless stuff be put out, and that isn't really content. Like the content they would do for that contentless stuff is not the ones that they want to do. You know, they're pushing the idea of wanting to do their own thing, but because of what's been happening, it's like they're pushing another idea out.
Yeah, it's crazy that people can make careers off of these apps. And I
Yeah,
mean, good for them, because they cracked some code and they're, whatever. Freaking Charlie D'Amelio, she's probably making millions of dollars from her own home, which is
yeah,
uh, but it's like, yeah, like you said, like some of the stuff, like you're dancing for 2 seconds, or I've seen some videos where there's just like a cool song in the background and they'll like just turn around and it's got millions of likes. And it's like, yeah, what kind of content is this? I feel like people, like the age of celebrities is dying.
yeah,
I think people have realized that they can become celebrities in their own home.
yeah.
And
Well,
yeah.
and it's weird because you don't even need to be a celebrity. You could be an animal too. It's like, oh, it's like here's my yeah. It's like here's my dog Fluffy. She's a big corgi, and you know people love corgis, and it's like, and it's just like, you know, just do like
The
a,
dog money.
yeah. The dog becomes a megastar than you are. It's like it just depends on the content, and it's weird how. And I think, and you were just saying, and there is a thing where the celebrity is dying. Well, celebrity by itself, where it's like the people who are famous for being famous, or you know, people who are like rich and famous, that sort of thing. I see them essentially crossing over to that threshold of social media and going onto like TikTok. Like Will Smith has a very big amassing following on TikTok, I think, and he's just been doing that just to, I think, just to stay sane, from just because there hasn't been that much of stuff going around, because there hasn't been a need to put out new content. And
that's a wild thing too, is that even celebrities are like desperate
like,
to still stay celebrities, you know what I
yeah,
mean? Why are they competing with all these young people on TikTok? They have millions of dollars. I do not get it. Maybe for fun, whatever, but I feel like some of them aren't doing it for fun. I think some of them are doing it to keep their careers alive, which,
yeah,
you know what, I get. Everyone has got to keep their career alive, but it's just become this mess almost, where you do have celebrities competing with just regular people, and it's like, wait, where are we? Maybe no one is important after all.
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, I feel like And again, it's like I've seen people who gotten their like I don't want to say like career started because, and it's weird because even though there are people who get their start with social media and that sort of thing, and they do put out their singing stuff like that on their Instagram or maybe even TikTok, because even though it's a minute thing, it still might go viral and people go like, oh, I've seen this on Twitter, and people will link the thing on Twitter. The Twitter video might get like even much more like higher number of views because Twitter is a much more of a fast beast than Instagram is. Because even though Instagram and TikTok are more viral, Twitter is a lot more of a thing where celebrities more use their platforms, especially if there's a new song coming out. Because uh, Lady Gaga, she might have a new album with Tony Bennett. So you could just say, hey, to her like millions of followers, don't forget to check out my new album with Tony Bennett coming out this Tuesday or something like that. And like what you just said before, Charlie D'Amelio, so you could put it out as like, oh, by the way, don't forget, watch my new TikTok coming out, blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's weird how like nowadays, like, yeah, it's weird how essentially there is an artist celebrity, but the celebrity that you kind of like already know, especially if they were famous for being famous or just famous for being a very great actor or actress, that art is really dying, and the art now is now becoming more like the social media artists, where it's just like they're very in tune to what's happening with content and what kind of content people need. And going back to our like the earlier discussion, you have people who are striving artists themselves and they're trying to put out content for people who love that content. And then you have people who have trying to do their own artistry and just putting it on that like contentless content, whereas like they don't have an idea what their content is, but they have the pulse of what that contact like that what content is now. And to me, it's always weird because I've always seen like people who got famous for being a celebrity, and it's weird because celebrity now has a much more different meaning than it was like 15 years ago. And like I said before, celebrities are the term celebrity is dying, so the like, or at least being like redefined as being like what is celebrity now is much more of a redefinition now compared to like say 15 years ago, where celebrity was you know a celebrity would be like, oh, Madonna, Billy Idol, Freddie Mercury. Those are celebrities, even though they are musicians. A celebrity now would be, YouTubers, stuff like that. I love watching Jacksepticeye. I love watching Markiplier, stuff like that. And they are celebrities because they are famous YouTubers.
Yeah.
So it's weird how the artist celebrity, right, has changed compared because of the content has been putting out, and I think because of what's been happening, especially with COVID and stuff like that, celebrities don't have the content that they need in order to promote their stuff. Because if it was a regular thing, you'd be seeing a lot more content from a lot of these celebrities, regardless. Especially with the election going around. But because of what's been happening, it's like that content-less world coming out. Whereas it's like the celebrity that is really thriving now is the social media celebrity or the social media artist. I should say. So yeah, and again, it's weird.
I think too, like celebrities back in the day were untouchable.
Yeah,
we're finding out now all these terrible things that people have known for a long time.
yeah,
And we're really condemning people, which is, I think it's a good thing that these things are coming out finally. It's upsetting how long it did take, but
yeah,
so many people turned a blind eye for so long and were just like, they're celebrities. They can do whatever. They're high up, untouchable. But
yeah,
now, like you said, people are looking at YouTube celebrities, TikTok celebrities, and yeah, people do have personas, but I think maybe our generation or something is just more attracted to actual people. So I think we're starting to kind of get through this phoniness phase, and we're searching for people who have the similar interests as us. You know, you watch a game person, I'll watch someone who's doing music, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like I'm friends with them. They're just much more personable, and that's where I think some celebrities are failing now with transitioning into TikTok and all these things. It's like, where is their personality? Some of them do have personalities, but it's like, what is genuine? You know, what are they saying? Like, are they building a new kind of platform, new kind of content? It's hard for them yet to find their way in this new kind of world where, I mean, I think being a person is the best thing to be. So if you're going to be a celebrity, you're going to be humble, you're going to be all these things, like that is, you know, a great kind of celebrity. Someone that you can feel like you can talk to, someone you feel as a friend, someone you can watch for hours on YouTube and not get tired of.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird because the way you just mentioned is like 10 years ago. It's weird because I was just I think Charles 2.0 just had Rebecca Black on. I think on his like one of his new seasons. I forgot if it is a new season, and they were just talking about Friday, and it's like Friday, like 10 years ago, Friday was a big mega hit because she wasn't a trained singer, but it was like one of those fun songs to listen because it was like, oh, it's like Friday, it's a fun song to listen to because even though the song itself was intentionally bad, she got famous for singing an intentionally bad song, and she got hell for that, and because people were making fun of all that stuff. So yeah, and now 10 years later, there could be viral singers who just go like, who could sing like some sort of like a cappella thing, or maybe even some operatic singing, all that stuff, and they get very big hits, and people will love that. But if it was released on YouTube, stuff like that, like 10 years ago, people, it might have been not the same type of people who would enjoy that. So it's weird how 10 years ago, viral singers were kind of like do that, like they were kind of like not really touched upon, but it's like kind of like frowned upon. There we go. They were kind of the viral singles were frowned upon, but now viral singles now they're very either loved or they're dislike, but there's always like that middle ground where they do enjoy that, like, wow, singleness, where it's like the viral singles now, people do love them now. So it's again, it's weird how social media has essentially been a platform for people now compared to say 10, 15 years ago. I feel like it's a good note to end on things. I feel like I'm
social media.
yeah, so especially since you're especially as a singer and actor, I'm pretty sure you've seen your friends and friends and family, or friends of your singer friends and your acting friends and your family who post all this stuff, especially on their social media, because of this is there's a new social media stuff, that sort of thing too, and it's weird how I'm talking this. It's weird how I'm kind of like not putting down social media. It's like the pot is calling the kettle black because this is how I'm promoting my show too on social media. So
yeah, you have to, it's a lovely relationship. I feel like social media is like a family member. You have to learn how to live with them.
It's like the crazy uncle that you know and love, but sometimes it's the crazy uncle that you love today, but it's also but tomorrow might be the crazy uncle that you hate. So.
Yeah, maybe you don't talk to them for a few days,
And then after a few days, it's like, okay, what you got for me? Well,
yeah, exactly. Like, I'm definitely battling with social media, but you know what? It's okay.
But I do have 3 questions left. One is the social media question. Do you have any social medias do you want to plug?
I do. So see, again, I'm a hypocrite.
We're all hypocrites. That's the problem in general.
Because, again, I can criticize from here. I can be like, social media, blah, blah, but at the end of the day, I got to use it. I got to promote my stuff because how else are people going to listen? I have to get with times. But I will still complain. So, yes. So I have Instagram. It's Rita Posillico _ My YouTube, just Rita Posillico. And like I said, I just released that 2020 music video, so check it out. I think it's kind of catchy. What else? What else? The Twitch, we're on, streams are kind of random right now, but the username is RitzPo. Might change it soon, we'll see. And yeah, and then, of course, I'm on Facebook, just my name. I have a page, and I'm not on Twitter. I'm staying away from Twitter for now.
Yes, Twitter is a black cesspool of either venom and hate, or positivity and hate, or something of a mixed bag. Anyway, do you have any projects are coming out?
Well, I'm hoping to do more comedy songs. I met this girl during quarantine, actually. Her name is Evan. She's an amazing human being. She was staying with my neighbor, actually, and we had met, and we just got along so well. She does musical theater, so we're gonna try to write comedy songs. Like her and I, we filmed this song that we put out yesterday. We filmed it together, and we recorded it together. So we're hoping we have a voting song we might put out next week.
Oh.
But yeah, we're gonna just, put out content. So just, I think I am ready now to be back on a creative train. So hopefully good things.
Yeah, it's good to actually put, and again, like what we were just saying before, it's weird trying to put out it's weird trying to put out content in the content-less world, where it's like the content-less world, like those creators are much more, flair because of their TikToks or something like that, but yeah, I can't wait to actually, and of course the links to probably the 2020 song, and probably by the end time this is airing, hopefully there'll be a music video for the political song, but they'll probably be in the links down below. But yeah, and the last question is fairly easy. Do you have any advice to those who are watching right now, especially if they are a struggling singer? Yeah, especially us who are a struggling singer in this time, because it's as we pointed out, it's hard right now to be a singer, or at least artist in general.
Yeah, I would say, something I discovered during quarantine was flow and patience. So flow, I have not read the book, but my own kind of interpretation, my mother and I, we've been talking about it, is, things are not working out the way you want it to. It's just not a part of your flow. So I think only do things that make you feel good. And even if you want to be creative, but it's not feeling good right now to do, you don't have to do it. Go with your own flow. And you're on your own time, easier said than done. But and then I think patience plays hand in hand with that too. You have to be patient, because sometimes the things you want, they do not happen right away. But I think if you're persistent, if you have a vivid imagination, you're passionate, things will work in your favor, and they might even take you to another avenue that you have not even expected. So patience and flow is the best advice I can give.
Nice. And on that note, my name, as always, is Brian Dim Davis. I hope you all have been enjoying this episode I did with Rita. Please take care, stay safe, and wear a damn mask. And